September board meeting. Thank you for coming and for this time together, and as we discuss the district's business and all that other fun stuff. Thank you that you're willing to give up part of your evening for this as well. We thank you. As we get ready tonight, I would like to call the meeting to order. Silent roll call vote, please. And then, we have our Minidoka person. Would you mind leading the Pledge of Allegiance tonight? Okay, so we'll stand and I'll say a quick prayer and then we can have the Pledge of Allegiance. Father in heaven, thank you for this opportunity to gather together and share our thoughts and discuss the district of this business. We thank you for each and every student that is in our care, and we ask that you would help us to make the wisest decisions possible for their education. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Please be seated.
Well, the pledge was helpful. I got 2 pens. Three. Jeez, what am I doing?
3 pens in his pocket.
And he was looking for
And he was looking for pens. Yes.
I want my pen back. Good, because it quit working.
Okay, we have an agenda before us. Does anyone have any comments or questions regarding what is on the agenda for the evening? Okay, then I would entertain a motion for approval of tonight's agenda.
I would make the motion that we approve the agenda.
Okay, motion by Mr. Perez.
Second.
Right.
Right.
Okay, Mary can have it. All right. Second by Mrs. Anderson. Yeah, Mary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we had within the consent agenda tonight the normal things. Let's just put it that way. There is one thing that I have a question about, and that is part of a travel request. Mrs. Widmeyer is not here, is she? She's the one who signed it. Okay. Just a question about going all the way to Maryland. Several people are going. Is there going to be a report back regarding what is learned there so that we're not sending people, they learn something, they don't come back and share it? As a taxpayer, that concerns me because this money I know is coming from the state of Idaho for the school improvement plan. But what value is coming from this just other than just for those individuals is my question. Can anybody answer that?
I think there was quite a few of our.
And I know that there were several of you that went to a conference in San Diego. I think it was San Diego earlier this summer. And it was also a school-wide improvement thing. And I've never heard anything about other than it was good. Okay, what did you learn? How are you using what you learned to improve the schools? That's all I want to know. Mr. Kniep, did you go to?
I did not.
You did not. Okay.
I had a family emergency that I had to stay back from.
Okay. I'm just looking for somebody that might have gone, so I know.
I think the discussion, we kind of had a discussion here as a board that I think it's awesome that you guys go out and get this education and it's paid for, which is fantastic. But we would like to see as a board, you come back and tell us what you learned, and not only that, but come back and educate the rest of who would be interested in that part and not just keep it to your 5 selves or whatever. I think it would be helpful on a Friday or whenever you guys are together that you share that so everybody's getting the same education and the taxpayers' money's not going for the same classroom, 2 or 3 different times.
9 people.
Yeah, 9 different people, and then come back and share.
And
I think it's great that you guys love to go out there and get educated. I think it's fantastic.
And one of the things that's included on the board travel request is that it's going to be reported to the board, the staff, the team, And I guess maybe we should be more particular and say, we're not approving this if this isn't circled, but it hasn't been at all. So I have no idea who this is going to. Okay, the first one I saw, sir, was yours.
Yeah, Doug Pease at East Minidoka. I know the East Minidoka teachers that went, they were our building leaders. So basically it was our team leaders from the grade level. They
Okay.
went to the meeting in San Diego. Then they came back to our staff and presented to us on our welcome back days
Okay.
what they did at San Diego.
So there was some reporting to everybody?
Yeah, to our staff.
Okay.
They reported the programs because they just like we go to all workshop, we go to education workshops and you get presentations from different vendors or whatever. They went specifically to learn about like a behavior model to help school improvement with academics and also behavior, I believe.
Okay.
And I think the trip in Maryland is the second part to that school improvement meeting.
Okay.
So, but that's all I know for now.
All right.
I do know our staff at East Minidoka. It was our building team leaders went.
Okay.
Great.
That's good.
That's fantastic.
That's wonderful. Yes, Ms. Milline.
Brandy Miller from West Minico. So I actually filled out a patron comment. I didn't know if I needed to do that, but since it's brought up now,
It's okay.
so I did the math. $24,903 is what's put on this travel request. As a staff from one of the schools that has this school-wide improvement plan, in this last year we saw the plan, but we never did see the budget for the plan. In the budget, and I pulled that up, that was approved by the board at the February meeting. I pulled that up, and there was $36,000 some odd that were going to travel expenses for this. And I thought that was a little strange considering that the materials and supplies that would directly go to our students was only $25,000 some odd. So why $11,000 difference to send a small number of staff to trainings and conferences when it should be, in my opinion, focusing on the students? Why are the students getting a smaller chunk than travel is? The second caveat to that, I think for almost $25,000, we could probably get a good speaker or a good trainer to come to the buildings and teach our entire staff, bring East Minico, West Minico together. Then it truly is a school-wide, and we all get to benefit from it, because I have no idea what they did in San Diego. I have no idea. Didn't hear anything, nothing was brought back to us. And so they spend a huge chunk of money, tens and tens of thousands of dollars, to send staff to something that we never hear back. I don't see how it benefits school-wide. And then another $25,000 to send another small group of 5 individuals, when it should be, in my opinion, benefiting students. And the best way to do that is to do a true school-wide training so that we know how to better help our kids and bring the scores up and close those gaps. And our plan specifically mentions special education. That's where our biggest gap is in the area of special education. Yet none of our special education teachers have ever been offered any sort of conference to go to get help in special education to try to close those gaps. So that's my 2 cents.
Mrs. Miller, I asked the very same question earlier, and Mr. Larson addressed me with that, and I'm going to turn it over to him about bringing somebody in.
Well, and I do think that would be a good idea in a lot of cases and instances. I think that can be done. Some of these conferences don't allow that with the specific type of training that they don't come in the district. They just do these larger conferences, and districts, have to go. So it's not always an option.
But what if you do something different than this conference? There's got to be amazing individuals out there that can train us outside of this organization to improve our school and to improve the kids wanting to be there.
And there probably were other options. I was not involved in those discussions, but so I don't know how it was concluded that, hey, this is the one.
Yeah, I guess I would wonder if the money is coming from the state, if it's ear tagged
that it has to be used in certain ways.
That could be.
And I don't know the answer to that. You know, maybe the state says, here's this money, you need to use this conference or whatever. I have no idea, but maybe we should look into that a little bit more.
And there are sometimes when capacity builders are brought in and they're helping create these budgets, they're making recommendations as well. You know, hey, you can use so much, you know, for travel, so much, you know, for conferences and trainings, and so much here. You know, that could have happened as well.
I'd just like to pipe in a little bit, and that's part of it. You just hit the nail on the head. We've got state capacity builders. They've done their research. They suggest that from a leadership perspective, yes, this is an area that across Minidoka County schools, maybe we can try to improve in. So yes, that was a recommendation. But I appreciate you guys bringing this up, because I have some answers. I don't know everything, but it's obvious that we need to take a step back and think about how this looks in the future.
And I'll just insert. So every year we rotate with state PD funds, which is separate than the school improvement funds. We send. Last year was the elementary administrators one. This year it's the middle school. So those funds, so the middle school administrators decide which conference they want to attend, and this is the one they selected. And then I don't know how the decision was made to send the teachers to this.
Okay. Well, and I was wondering if some of them, I see Shelley Merrill on there. She's a
So
counselor.
there should be two papers. So there should be one that has Corey and
There's three altogether. So
Corey and Joe and Greg and Greg and Dustin were approved a month or 2 months ago.
okay.
So it's already been that one was approved, right?
Okay. So what do you by any chance know what AMLE 50 means?
American
It's middle level educators, Association of Middle Level Educators.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that helps.
Middle school specific conference.
Okay. It's just.
And would it help when there is something like that if you guys can see like the schedule is there?
To be honest, yes. Because if I feel like we make too many decisions that we just have no clue what's going on. And I've said ever since I got on the board that one of the things that I believe this district needs to do better at is communication. And it's in every aspect. And so I think that would make me as a board member feel like I have more information for making a decision. I'm in no way interested in micromanaging. I just want to make sure as a fiduciary responsible person for the district, where's the money going?
It's a lot of money.
Because it is a lot of money.
There's a lot of people gone.
Well, and that's the other thing I thought of. If these are all classroom educators, that's a lot of substitutes to take.
That's a lot of money.
And that's a lot of money right there,
Well,
too.
and I think the very minimal expectation is if we are going to send people and spend $20,000 for them to go, they have to come back and share that information with the rest of the group. It cannot stay within 4 people from West Minico and 4 people from East Minico.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation.
Exactly.
If I may,
Sorry.
I was looking at our travel policy today because we had questions about it. That is actually part of our policy. They have to return to the board.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought. And that's also why this says on here who the reports will be made to. And I haven't seen.
Virtual? Like,
Excuse me?
do they not have like virtual? Not all of them. It just depends on you're seeing some go away from virtual. Some will offer a virtual piece, but people prefer to be in person.
And I personally hate the virtual conferences. I've been in,
So
done it, don't like it.
Who's putting it on?
I'm sorry, but would you, for the record, say your name so we know who spoke up?
Catherine Jench.
Okay, thank you.
I do like hearing that from San Diego, a report was given to East Minico. Was there a report from San Diego given to West Minico?
We will do better.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what we ask, learning from our experiences, I guess. So, does anybody else have any other comments about or questions about this? I think that I'm okay with the answers. Ms. Milliron, you had questions. Did you get some answers that will help you? I think that face tells me no. But still, I can see your point.
It's going to benefit us as a staff school-wide.
Yeah.
Even 5 people coming back and reporting to us. How is that school-wide? Because we have $145,000 that the state gave to each middle school to help school-wide improvement. And how is it going to help the entire building? Because it was made very clear it's supposed to be all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So how, with 5 people going and spending that huge chunk of change, how does that benefit everyone?
Okay.
So, from a state facilitator perspective, the way it was brought to my attention was that, these are unique opportunities that we need to take advantage of. And part of that philosophy is also sharing the wealth. And so, from my perspective, what I can tell you guys is that I try to look through the list and try to send different people to every different time. So, no, it's not just me. To be completely honest, I feel like I've been doing a lot of research on my own. If I can share that out with other people, I'm glad to do that. And yeah, you're right, Juan. We dropped the ball. I was not there. That's something that I'll take ownership for. We'll do a better job.
Well, that's great. I just interested in, we just want to make sure that if we're sending people, that it comes back and we're making sure everyone gets it. So I appreciate that, Corey.
Well, not following policy.
If it's
Yeah,
policy,
it needs to follow policy, and that's one of our policies.
Well, and another thing I was just thinking, I mean, I don't know what the practicality, or I mean, it seems to be reasonable to say whoever's the leadership groups are that are making these decisions, maybe provide, multiple options and suggestions of, because obviously this is a very expensive conference. Maybe there's a cheaper conference that would be equivalent to that, or something like that.
Or if there's a resource that can come in-house.
Yeah, and so I think it'd be nice to know what options were looked at in order to find the most economical option for our district and provide the best, best solution or best way
Best outcome.
of preparing other people like they're looking for. I think that's what I would say is we need to make sure we got the right option.
Let's get everyone involved here. You're right. If we can find opportunities to bring great valuable resources here, I think that would be a genuine courtesy to show folks that are in the schools.
Would be very nice.
Okay.
Like one of the teachers from what's going is a very first year brand new non-certificated teacher. So, not aware of our school-wide improvement plan that we worked through last year, and I don't understand this. I guess the selection of that individual.
And I am listening to recommendations I'm getting from our capacity builder.
And the capacity builder, you said, is someone who is with the State Department that works with the school-wide improvement as well.
And any schools that are in this situation, they have a capacity builder, and instructions that I've gotten recently over the summer is that these folks have to be highly involved. The respect piece has to be there. You need to take their guidance. The state is not fooling around with school improvement. They want to see results, and they entrust these folks to do an exceptional job of helping the schools out. That's where we're at. And I don't have all the answers to that because this is only my second year going through this. And these capacity builders have done it for 10, 15 years, some of them. So, I don't know. It'd be nice maybe if we had, I can't do this, but if we could have capacity builders at a district level that are here to answer questions.
So they're the ones basically driving the train for each school.
There's a law.
Okay.
That's not me trying to throw anyone under the bus
No.
either. I want that.
I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be, though. They shouldn't be the ones driving the train. They're there to help guide and get the leadership team to think and come up with solutions. And, if the leadership team isn't, okay, now they throw out some ideas, but
I think part of that, though, too, is there's just a lot of concern when you had the administration that shifted at the State Department. I think that's kind of made, this is the way I've been taught by a different capacity builder that's not here in our district, but basically we're under a gun now.
Okay.
So are the travel requests, obviously they presented us to approve.
Mhm.
I mean, who are they provided anybody else prior to our approvals, or are they?
Principals, the
This the principals are the ones that are
Well,
signing off on them.
Michelle Woodmeyer signed these.
It should be the administrator so that they're aware of who's to be out of the building. And then somewhere on there, like if it's through something I oversee, I don't sign up with my initials there. So that program should also have some type of signature.
I guess it just goes back to my kind of the
This is for large.
yeah.
Right there.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I was just go back to my what was the thought process. You know, like possibly maybe it's a change to the policy that says, hey, you provide the travel question, provide the other options that you looked at, so they can see if kind of a double check to we're being effective in selecting these conferences or these different things versus just okay, here it is. This is what we're doing. And there's not a lot of like, why are we doing this? What's the benefit? And obviously, I don't feel like we're necessarily the ones to make that call, but whether it's Mr. Larson or if it's somebody, Miss Millheimer goes to Mr. To her principal or whatever and asks for, hey, they want to go to this conference that we're getting those somebody looking at why they're coming with what they're coming with.
And then otherwise they've done the research and this is what we picked, this is why we picked it, this is what we looked at.
Yeah.
Want your approval?
Yeah, I mean, once it got to us at that point in time, then I feel like we would know, hey, there's been extensive research to be able to show that we're picking the best solution.
Well, and
that they couldn't get a speaker to come in for this amount of money.
That might be the
and those are things we can consider. I do just need to point out, if the capacity builder leadership teams recommended something and it went through the school improvement, we do have an administrator over school improvement. I mean, that's her job. It's federal programs and school improvement, which in this case is Michelle, and she's not here, but to answer some of these questions. But I'm sure she thought, gave this a lot of thought. I just would have to follow up with her.
Sure, fair enough.
So I guess I just would like to know that as this team goes, that there is some give back to us of what was learned, just so that, and to obviously everybody in the school, but it would just be nice. A little bit of reporting. That's all I'm saying. That way we know what happened with the money that was sent. So.
Well, it sounds like that can happen. It's already in policy. We'll just make sure we're following policy.
Okay. All right. So with that, and that being part of the consent agenda, are there any more questions or comments regarding consent agenda?
I do have a comment. If we're looking to get better and improve, items on the consent agenda really aren't open for discussion. So if there needs to be discussion, a motion needs to be made to pull it off the consent agenda, and then it can be discussed later.
You're right. Should have done. That's only fair.
And I'll remember.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are you ready to consider it approved? Done. Okay. The consent agenda is hereby approved by unanimous consent then, and we will do better. Okay. Ms. Minico, representative, tell me one more time your name.
My name is Italy Jen.
Italy. I knew it was an I, but I couldn't.
Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful. So to jump in, our back to school bash, people said last month that was great. We had a big turnout. We had so many more kids than we usually do. So I thought that was amazing. And then school is now in full swing, so we're busy, we're going, our schedule's ready. We have Super Bowl this week, so that's exciting. We are just starting to collect cans. Hopefully we can beat what we had last year. And I'm super excited for homecoming. That's next week. So we're selling tickets for that. And then we've so far had 2 home football games. I think this last Friday we had our veteran tribute. So we had
First responders as well.
First responders, our military vets, all those great amazing people. We had a tribute for them. So that was a really awesome football game. We had a good turnout. Along with our other football game that we had. We do have a pep assembly this Thursday for our Burley Minidoka game, so that's super exciting. We already had our picture days. That was last week. We've had our whole school. We have seniors done, and that's just everything happening at Minidoka.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Italy? If I say it enough, I will remember.
Thank you for the update.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming and facing this very scary looking bunch of people. I know that's just, I know. Thank you. And I don't see anybody from Mount Harrison. Okay. All right. Mr. Kniep, do you have some good news
Absolutely.
reporting to do for us?
West is absolutely best. All right, so I'm just going to go through the slides, maybe. All right, so just some of the different things that we're trying to do a little bit differently here. Where school needs improvement. One of the biggest things that's really impacting us right now is student engagement. We've seen that in the NAEP survey. We've seen that when we've just had casual interviews with students. So we wanted to improve. One of the things in my interviews with some of the kids is we don't truly understand if, we're wanted here at West. So we did some things different. And one of those, as you'll see at the farthest right of the screen, we created a welcome ceremony to celebrate any new students at West. So part of the philosophy here was that if we get them used to coming out and getting some kind of a certificate or a diploma, hopefully this is going to drive a passion into them to do a little bit better along the way. And what I can tell you is this was a shocker to me because at first I thought, this isn't going to work out too well. Kids are kids, they're in video games. I was standing in front of the school at the end of the day, and the kid goes, that was a lot of fun. This means a lot to me. This is the first time I've ever taken anything home from school. My jaw hit the ground. I was, okay, we're doing things a little bit better. We started something else called Warrior Worth Day. In education in schools, sometimes it's a little bit hard using the term birthday. So what we did was called it Worth Day. So when it's your birthday or birthday, we call kids down to our office individually, give them a Warrior Worth Day card as well as a piece of candy to just celebrate them being a part of West. We created a new intervention period. It's called the Achieve. So this is dual goal oriented here. So what we're trying to do is establish connections with kids. Teachers take a passion they have, i.e. chess, and it's a smaller block of time where they can work with kids on skills that are maybe different than what they're going to experience within the whole school environment. And another piece is this, which I think is incredibly valuable. We utilize this time for students to receive intensive intervention with an interventionist that's really targeting those classes that they're failing. And in a lot of these situations, these are kids that I came across one today that had 10 Fs. It's the start of the 8th grade. Looking at historical, you got 10 Fs. But before we talked to the kids, we took a step back and said, we're going to call the parents ahead of time to let them know. And I'm happy to report 100% of the parents that we interacted with today were fully on board. Kids, not so much. Video games, yeah. No. We had rock picking when I was growing up. All right, so we've done some other things a little bit differently. Myself and Mr. Dyerich, he's a science teacher that works with us. He is talented. I've already talked to him. You're going places. Let's keep it up. You're going to IE curriculum director somewhere down the line. Just very talented. But we created what's called the new teacher cohort. And what we're doing is we're taking teachers. First off, we welcomed them in. Second training, we talked about frontline and IPLPs and how we're going to massage those into something that you guys feel that are livable, but also something that's going to help you guys progress that next rung as far as, being that distinguished educator. And coming up here shortly, we're going to do an in-depth deal that involves Power School and log entries. We have a sunshine committee that started a walking club. This starts at 4 o'clock, ends at 4:30. This is an opportunity for physical activity, but also for teachers to have an opportunity to collaborate a little bit more in a casual setting. And it's like Mrs. Jordan shared, you know, the research she's done suggests that when you're out exercising, it stimulates the brain even more. So really thankful to have that. We have a really good partnership with our capacity builders with the State Department of Education. I know we have discussion about them, but their hearts are here. They want to see us do good. We might not understand things, but you know, we'll learn. We'll do better. And I'm definitely willing to continue to learn. Currently, our leadership team is meeting twice a month. Department chairs are holding meetings on a weekly basis. Some of those are casual. A lot of those, though, and as we progress in working with the state facilitator, I led a training for the department leads called Leading with Focus. And Mr. Larson and I talked about this, and from there, they're going to take this experience, they're going to take the essential standards that the State Department's really trying to hammer into them and drive it out to the rest of the staff within their each individual department. And I took this on because one of the things I heard from someone at the state level was, it's not that teachers are lazy. It's that a lot of times you go back and look at the footwork that they're doing, they try to cover all the standards. And yet the ISAPs only look at a small handful of standards. So that's something that we're trying to work on. Funny story about that picture in the right-hand corner, that's me. My publications class, I had a group of kids come in and say, we need to take a picture of it. I said, no, it's all good. We took a picture with Ryan Thomas. No, that's not acceptable. So I said, where do you guys want me? We'll stand right over here. And they said, hey, put that out when you're up. No, but anyway, Mrs. Arthur and some publications kids have definitely helped along this journey, putting this together. Different guy, I guess. I don't know what he's thinking. Our PTO has played a huge role in our school success this year. Just real quick, these are some of the things that they've worked on doing for our school, and this was shared with Carrie. She'll share it with all of you.
It's on here.
Where's the other ones at? Okay, now I got lost. But see, they've done a whole bunch, and right now I've got some parents that are working together. They want to create a fun run. It's going to happen annually. That's going to help our athletics team. They're also doing an ice cream fundraiser, and that's going to be an opportunity to bring more into IE, the liberal arts, the choirs, the orchestras. You know, these guys helped us get some choir risers. The ones we had, they were
dangerous.
Well, Mary, Bonnie, they were probably there when you guys were there.
They probably were.
We were.
That's been a day or two.
When the schools were totally brand new.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Yep. We were there.
So you just think, if Phil was here, I'd ask him, Dad?
I know.
Are these the originals? Well, I remember. That's what I did. Community schools grant. This thing's really blossomed into something big. When I worked with Mr. Ramsey for 3 years, I was this needs to be district-wide. This needs to be district-wide. At the time, it wasn't very receptive, but I'm hoping that as we move across this journey, we start to understand, hey, this is a community thing. This isn't just all Idaho. This isn't the folks at West Minidoka. But just as an example of that, we have a food drive that happens once a month. The next one's October 21st at the high school. There was a gentleman there that told our community schools coordinator, this is probably one of the, if not the most highly needed resource areas in the state of Idaho. So that disheartens me, but some good things are coming. We did have our first annual golf scramble. That wasn't Saturday, that was last Thursday. And this brought in $10,000 that we're going to be able to use to provide more opportunity for kids, more opportunity for parents.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
The golf.
Let's see, we should have a sign up here.
Yeah.
Last place.
Yeah. Oh, Mary, I
Something got the highest number of
The
strokes.
highest. There we go. We got the highest score.
They just played more golf.
That's right.
Did either of you fellas realize it was possible to hit that ball and have that ball go straight up in the air? That was my one.
Corey did have his tee go further than his tee shot. It's all right. We all had our
My
That's in this room.
My question is, did you have fun?
It was, I did, but I was a college of Idaho cross country guy. That competitive spirit in me, it's dying. It's still the golf course laying in the pavement going, what just happened here? Maybe that's why I'm losing some of my hair. We're going to be also this fall, we're not quite worked out with the details, but we're going to be holding a community stakeholder meeting, and we're going to be sending out needs assessments. We definitely want to target the needs of our families. Education is huge, and in my thought process and my interactions with these parents on daily level, we need to do more to educate the parents. Parents are doing everything they can. Somewhere along the line, these parents have slipped through the cracks. We've got to create more intentionalized instructions so we can help them do the best they can. STEM and drones. Mrs. Milliron, this is kind of her neck of the woods here. A little bit about Mrs. Milliron. She took kids to NASA a couple times. She is a phenomenal grant writer when it comes to trying to bring money into West Minidoka to provide kids with more of these tech-savvy opportunities. And we're just really fortunate. When we look at STEM, this is something that, listening to the governor, his initiatives in the trade school deal, I think this is going to blow into something bigger than just the West. So definitely as a district, I think she's one of our most valuable resources. After school STEM program, this is some of the stuff that she does. Hub event trip to Kennedy Space Center. And we are Minidoka, but West is still best, and we're warrior strong. And I'd like to say this was all done with the help of Samara Arthur and Brandy Miller. We've got a phenomenal staff. We're very humble. Thank you for having me. But before I leave, you guys are getting warrior word cards for having me here West. Okay, now I'm praying I counted it out. Oh boy, I'm not gonna hear the end of this one. Huh. Thanks, Spencer.
Yeah,
That's okay. I had my gummy bears earlier today.
This is what we did at ceremony at the start of the year to welcome kids. So, one, welcome to West. Thank you. Mary.
Oh, wow. This one's tough. Corey, I don't know.
I know we went to East.
We went to East.
You went to East.
I was
First
West.
year.
All right, there you go.
That's right. Thanks, Reese.
Guys, I want to thank you for everything you do. Thanks for definitely helping us do the best job we can, helping us grow. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I am going to have to leave. I need to get home and zoom into an ISU class here.
Okay. Well, appreciate that. Be
Thank
careful
you.
driving home. Oh, way to go. You just fished that puppy right out.
Make sure, guys, share with Spencer, please.
We've got it. We've got you covered there, Corey.
While he's walking out, I'm just going to ask Ms. Milliron really quick. Am I right by looking at these pictures? You took 3 young people to NASA? Okay. Fewer than last year, but probably still just as wonderful.
Well, because we only had 3 that actually participated in the hub event in June.
Oh.
And so if they didn't participate in the hub event, that's where we actually qualified to be able to go. So those 3 went. We're hoping to present next month at the board meeting.
Cool. All right.
I have a
That'd be great.
question for Brandy. No, it's good. Okay, you started this, how many years ago, Brandy?
The STEM and drums thing? 6.5.
Okay. And by chance, because I know you're smart, how many kids did you have invested in that?
Back then, about the same number that I.
That's not what I wanted to hear, but great. That's awesome. I was hoping it would just.
I mean, there's a big demand for it. The kids love it.
Okay, I knew they did.
You know it. For fun.
Thank you. You do?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Years back, but
I tell people
No, I think it's.
play in
I
my
think
job.
it's a fantastic job. Yeah.
he still plays with drones. He still brings them out. He was in my living room. Was running a helicopter the other day. I'm like,
Hey, can you fix them? Can you fix
we
the
watching
drones?
TV. We don't care. Just come in the middle.
Depends on how bad they crashed, right?
Fix. But I just found out that from the company we bought it from, I was on the pilot program of the RubyQ drones that we build in class. And I just talked to the tech guy last week and went and saw him Friday when I was in Boise. And I am one of the last ones that are still flying the 1.0 and 1.5. So now we've got to convert all of our fleet once they gave us the very last of their inventory parts to fix them. And so once these are completely gone, now we've got to buy a whole new fleet of the 2.0s. So more grants to write, but
Yeah. All right. Well, we got the right person on it. Thank you. I would like to talk to you after board meeting if you stick around for a second, though. Thank you.
Okay, I believe this was the only patron comment and it's already been addressed. So if you would hand that down to Carrie, please. For our discussion items, the first one is the supplemental levy. Would you like to fill us in on what we
So for those that don't know, the board met last Friday, voted
Thursday?
on the. It was Thursday.
Thursday.
It was Thursday. Sorry. Voted on the resolution for the supplemental levy. They are going to run the same amount, 2.25 million, on a supplemental levy, and how the ballot length. I mean, it's really going to be no change to tax rate, just off the supplemental levy. There will be an overall decrease, though, when we consider the fact that the state had passed House Bill 292, which is giving us 1.6 million to put towards our bond payments, and then we have another roughly 300,000 in levy stabilization fund. So that's going to go. So really, a total of 1.9 million to pay off or to pay towards the bonds. And so when we do that, the tax rate's actually going to drop. And we thought about are there ways we can not have it drop so much, because that could hurt us moving forward. We're recouping a little bit in bonds, so we have money that'll be just for bond payments. However, we didn't want to do any more than that, increase the levy amount, not knowing what those payments are going to look like in the future for that same House bill. So that's why it came up still that 2.25. The amounts in different areas are going to be there. I think technology is getting quite a bit of money. Part of that was discussed in the safety meeting. We really need to start revamping our infrastructure, wireless infrastructure. We can't really add anything new if it's door locks that are school-wide or district-wide, intercom systems, because our system can't handle it. And so money's going towards that, along with all the devices and software and licensing fees. But really pleased the board voted to run that levy. That's going to come up in November. So we will need help, just educating staff. Again, it'll look like it's not dropping, but if you start explaining that House bill money that we're getting, their rates will drop. So that's a good thing. I think it's what the legislators wanted to see when they did that, pass that bill. And so I think that our current rate is $151 per 100,000 of property value. And that's dropping to 133. Does that sound right? 24.
We're currently at 133 and we'll be dropping to 108.
Okay, 108. So there you go. That's after we make those payments. So everyone should see some relief from the district side of things. That does not take into account what the county may do on their end. If they, for some reason, are raising their things, maybe it won't seem like as much. But if people look at the actual breakdown, from the district, there will be tax relief.
May you have any comments or questions? Any add-ons? Okay, thank you, sir. The AAP program, Reducing the Risk. Adria Masoner, are you ready, ma'am? Not really.
I've been doing this a long time, so no problem. So I'm Adria Masoner. I work at South Central Public Health, and I am the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Coordinator for the region. I'm based out of our Hebron office. We started our teen pregnancy prevention program in the iteration that it's in currently was in about 2000 or the 2009-2010 school year. And when we were looking at where we wanted to focus our energies, at that time, Minidoka County had one of the highest teen pregnancy rates in the state, and Kaja was not far behind. So we decided to focus our energies over here in the Mini-Kaja area, and that worked great since I live here. But since 2009, teen pregnancy rates in Idaho have dropped. We're one of a handful of states where teen pregnancy rates have dropped by more than half, which is awesome. That's the good news. The not so good news is we still have the highest teen pregnancy rates in the state over here in District 5. So we're the 8 counties of South Central Idaho. And that is, it seems like Kaja County, Jerome County, and Minidoka County always kind of bounce back and forth of who has the highest teen pregnancy rates that year. I just looked it up again in 2018 is the most current data that was online really quick that I could find. And actually, Minidoka was number 3. So that's good news. So since 2000, probably starting in the 2010-2011 school year, I've been teaching an abstinence-based sex ed curriculum at Mount Harrison High School. So that's coming up, I think, around like 12 years now, 12 school years. And in the past, that has just been approved kind of with either, I think I started out with just the principal. We've been through several principals since I've been doing this. But last year, this curriculum was approved by the superintendent and by Ashley Johnson. And in the meantime, this spring, the legislature decided to pull all of the funding authority for teen pregnancy prevention for sex education, actually is what it was. There were 2 pots of money that were funding sex education in Idaho, and the legislature removed the funding authority, which means we can't use that money for sex education. Most of the health districts in Idaho just decided to let their programs fall by the wayside. But where we've had such a successful program here in District 5, so I've been at Mount Harrison High School and I've been at the 3 middle schools. So Mount Harrison since about 2010, 2011. West Minidoka, I think I've been there since 2016. And East Minidoka, I've just been there the last 2 school years. But on top of that, we've been at Wendell High School for, this will be our 5th school year. We spent a couple of years at Filer. We've also been at Cornerstone High School, which is the new alternative school for Valley School District, and also Kaja High School over in Kaja County. So we've had lots of good success. We've had hardly any issues with community non-support, I guess I should say. We've had lots of community support, lots of parental support. We've almost always had our program to be opt-in, which means parents have to sign a permission form for their students to be in the class, and that has worked really well. So when it came time to ask about continuing this program and where funding would come from, our local Board of Health, which has representatives from each of the 8 counties, has a line item in their budget currently that is just for special projects. And that money's been sitting there for about 7 years doing nothing. So our fiscal agents suggested that we ask the board for that money, and that, as you might imagine, opened a bit of a problem for me this summer. But going back and forth with our Board of Health and receiving some additional funding from Blaine County commissioners, pledged $10,000 for that program. Our Board of Health ultimately gave approval for me to continue this program as long as I have full school board approval, and then we made sure that it was all parental opt-in. Out of those 2 caveats, they thought they would be able to stand behind the program, and if anyone had any problems, then we could say we have school board approval. So that's what I'm here tonight. I don't know if you're able to
Section item. So I don't know if you're able to grant approval for me tonight. I did.
It is under our business. It's under our business.
Excellent. So I hope that you all, if you wanted to, had access to look at the curriculum. It's called Reducing the Risk. It's created as a 16-hour program. We've never been able to have 16 hours in the classroom, but we've been able to have about 12, which turns into about 8 class periods at Nat Harrison High School. And like I said, it's abstinence-based, which means that the message of the program is that abstinence is the best choice for high school students until they're older, until they're married or in a long-term committed relationship. But knowing that about 50% of high school seniors have had sex before by the time they graduate, then we do also talk about how to reduce their risk of being involved in an unplanned pregnancy or getting an STI. So we do cover those topics along with how to say no. We talk about refusal skills, delay tactics, of how to get out of a tricky situation, how to recognize when you might be getting into a tricky situation, and those kinds of issues that aren't just important for teen pregnancy prevention, they're important for really all risk behaviors. So alcohol, drugs, violence, vandalism, you name it. Kids need to know how to get out of tricky situations. So we've been doing that. At the middle school level, we teach a curriculum called Making a Difference. That one is an abstinence-only curriculum. So the message, the overall message of that is that it's best for middle school students to not have sex and to wait until they're in a long-term committed relationship or until they're married to have to be involved in a sexual relationship. That one we do talk about STIs and how to avoid getting STIs, but we don't talk about birth control in that class. So that's a real quick nutshell. But where we've been in this district for so long and have such good success, I'm hoping that you'll give me approval to continue this program at Mount Harrison High School at East and West Minidoka Junior High. What questions?
I was going to say, do you have any questions? I'm just glad you're willing to do it. And it's your board said do it.
Yeah, it took some doing, but we got there, and I am too. Like I said, I've been doing this work specifically since about 1997, and I have a real passion for it, and I see the need for it in our community, especially in the last few years with TikTok has opened a whole new world of questions that our kids have in our community. So I feel like we want to give them the correct answers.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just gonna say that's parental opt-in, so that parents have the choice whether they want to have their kids go through that.
And if they decide not to, it's not a big deal.
Sure.
Usually the teachers have alternate assignments for them, have them go to the classroom and library, and it works out fine.
Sure.
Okay.
I like the parental opt-in because some parents teach it.
Yeah.
Some don't.
Well, it just gives them the choice, so that's best. I think.
Yep. Agreed. Okay. So we will be voting on this in the next section then. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We had administrator and department and committee reports on board book. There were summer school, transportation, school numbers, school nutrition program, the tech report, as well as maintenance. Did anyone have any comments or questions regarding any of those? Thank you, Katie, for your school nutrition program report. I felt like it was concise, it was helpful, it gave us an idea, gave me anyway, an idea of where you're going, and I think that was really great. Thank you.
It was a lot shorter than the previous ones you've given us.
It didn't have years and years worth of data for us to sort through. But anyway. I was a little.
I said it was good. I liked it.
I will confess, I saw that you want to try and get more students involved in the student breakfast.
Yeah.
And my thought on that always was, it's my child. I'm sending them to school. They're going to eat breakfast in my house before they leave. And I'm sure that there are a lot that don't have that attitude.
But if they get on the bus at 6:30,
I know.
to say that they're not hungry at 7:30.
And that is true.
Especially after you constantly.
Yep.
There's a lot of options for breakfast too.
Okay.
Do you see any hope that free breakfast will come back?
Kind of a lot of different answers to that. So right now we have free breakfast at the elementary schools.
For everybody?
For all students.
Okay.
But that is a provision program. So the school board has to pay for the paid and reduced portion of that in order to run the program. That was one of the presentations that I added to my report from last week. So there is always that option, but it's only money, you know. As far as having free meals, I don't see that happening. I know there's several states around the country that are feeding their kids universal meals, just like we had in COVID. I think Idaho is going to be one of the few ones that does not do that. We're going to be on the last of the leaderboard of that. Talk to your legislatures.
There's a lot to talk to them about.
Yeah, there is lots. Okay. Only one I was hoping maintenance would have a little bit more update, but I guess it didn't happen.
Is it normal for the school numbers to drop by the second, third week?
That was my next question.
Was that? I saw Minidoka was down like 20 kids or so.
Yeah, that's
Is that pretty standard?
Yeah.
Kids you think are coming back don't, but you give them their 10 days to see if they're going to show up, and then you start cleaning out the rolls. Yeah.
File requests and stuff from other places too within about the first 10, 15 days of school. So we're not down as, I mean, we're still up.
Yeah.
Look at our freshman and sophomore numbers.
Yeah, they're huge.
We're up. Around in the hall.
Like on the ones that maybe don't ever come back, relocated or moved on, but we had to mark them absent for the first 10 days. Like, do that adjust in our numbers ultimately?
Yeah, once Mrs. Reddington gets a request for files, she adjusts that once she gets a request from files, and those can come from anywhere those students move. The other thing that she does is if they haven't checked in, she starts calling. They start calling and trying to find out where are you, because none of that changes in Power School. So she just starts going through those numbers, trying to get a hold. Sometimes she has to go through some of those emergency contacts and everything to find out where those kids are, and then she adjusts that.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
But that's one of the reasons why the governor moved us back, because of what he called ghost students. That people were claiming them.
I know.
In their enrollment, and they were never found.
Okay, any other comments on any of the reports?
I guess in the transportation report, like, this isn't necessarily a comment on the report, but I mean, I know we had the last meeting, there was a lot of discussion about a lot of issues with that, and just my curiosity is, has most of those bus route issues been cleaned up? Do we feel like things are better now?
The last time I talked with Colleen, yes, they were better. I can't say they're all fixed, but especially that first week, really struggled, but things have gotten better.
Carrie March gave a report at the PPAT meeting last week, and they are very excited about the Bus Right app, and the parents that have gotten a chance to use it, they are thrilled to get to see
Yeah, it works
these
good.
things.
I like it.
So
good.
The one time I got to be at my house to get my first drink. It's great. Bus Right.
That's right.
You'll be able to track where a bus is, how far away from your stop it is, or when they're bringing a student home. The district will be able to track other things as well.
I have a student of mine that goes to the high school, and it tells me when he gets to Paul, when he goes to Paul, to the house, and then the bus is dropping him off, and it tracks.
Yeah, when the stop is completed, and
I need it for his vehicle now that he can drive. Oh wait, right?
Life 360.
Excuse me, is that a child of your own?
But it does work really well, and I got an email as a parent, and I signed up for it, and it works really well.
You can contact them and let them know when your kid's not riding that bus that day, so they don't have to stop.
I don't know if it has that capability or not.
I never tried that.
Because I have a daughter who can drive, but she's kind of like in the, she can until a certain time during the year because it's too dark until she becomes 16.
Mm-hmm.
So, her daughter still wants to ride the bus sometimes. So, when none of them get on the bus, I feel bad because at least picking up, I think we're the only one in our neighborhood. And so, I don't like that I can't let him know, no one's riding the bus today.
I think you just call the bus garage.
Carrie just texted and said there's no parent-driver contact through the app.
Okay, there we go.
So it would still be through the bus
You just
garage.
need to call the bus barn and let them know that your daughter would be riding that day. And that does help because they can radio the buses,
She told me
bus
she
driver,
took care of
and
it.
let them know. And so that it kind of gives them heads up a little bit.
The other thing that I wanted to ask about, has Remind been having some issues? I heard someone say that Remind has been not working well.
Yeah, so it's not actually Remind, it connects with, Remind won't talk to Power School. So Remind has to connect with Clever. So Clever changed the way that it talks with Remind. It now goes through the contacts, and the contacts are a disaster because you got siblings, and every time a new sibling comes in, it doubles the parents. So you got 4 kids, you have that many parents in the app. It also mixes with emergency contacts and things like that. So all the contacts have to be merged over and over and over and over. Anytime a secretary makes a new student, the contacts have to be merged over and over and over.
Doesn't sound very clever.
No.
It's not clever, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That came from him.
Contacts.
It's not me.
Oh my God. 96,000 contacts. Yeah. But that's duplicated. It's.
I can know our bandwidth. That's messed up.
When I tried to send the parent newsletter that I do, it tried to send it to 2,600 people. So that means some parents would get it like 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
And that
Wow.
is going to
They get
irritate
annoyed.
them.
Yep,
Yeah.
they do. They get annoyed. Why do I get all this all the time?
Yeah.
What?
And then they
What?
stay, and then you get them that long. We're out of the ones with checked
So what can be done about that?
The contacts have to be merged, so we're chipping away at that little by little. If you go to a different program, they want to connect with the contacts, so it doesn't matter who we go through. It needs to connect with the contacts.
So all the secretaries know that they need to be merged, or you're merging them.
My department is merging them.
Okay.
I don't know if the secretaries know that because they are not creating new students anymore. If they are, it's like 1 student, but when we're dealing with thousands, you don't notice 1. Yeah, it's just going to take some time. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the department reports and all? And then the next one is Mr. Spencer.
Okay.
Busy month.
Yeah, it was a busy month. Got to meet with Nicole and Brandy from MCEA. And just so you know, I am looking forward to those monthly meetings. It's already on the calendar moving forward. I think doing this will just help build the relationship between the district and the union. We'll be able to talk really about whatever and hopefully not have as big issues that we've had in the past. So that's going to be a good thing. Department heads was able to meet with them last week. You know, 3 trustees and I went to Hagerman a couple weeks ago to the regional ISBA training. I thought that was good. Had some scenario training. Just, you know, what do you do in this situation as board members? Who do you go to? You know, it was brought up. I think, Katie, you mentioned it. Contact your legislators. That was one of their recommendations as we move forward. You know, prior to the legislative session, if we have issues, you know, please reach out to all our legislators and let them know what our issues are and how they can help.
Contact them often.
Often, yes.
Not just one or two
No,
of
not
them.
once.
Everybody often.
They also mentioned not so much emails as try and make phone calls and personal contact.
Yes.
That was
Yeah, that personal touch.
Yeah. Because emails get read usually by staff.
Well, not only that, I can tell you one legislature, you'll see an email, 3-4 times, that person said the same thing, it's probably about the same thing.
And they go away.
Yeah.
Form letters are not a good idea.
Yeah. I visited Simply Hope this past month.
Where is that?
It's in Burley. I don't know what street it's off of. Oakley. Okay. I went with Michelle Widmeyer and Geraldine and Veronica and Sherry as well, but just a family outreach program and learned about the services that they have to offer. Talk to administrators about that and then having them visit with counselors. I just think it's a good resource for our district. They offer a lot of good services that I think we can take advantage of. Good. Let's see, as far as the policy goes on registered sex offenders, Reed and I sat down and reviewed that policy. We compared it to Idaho code. You know, we did this in the wake of Cash's ordeal. But our policy aligns really well with Idaho code. And I think we're doing things right. You know, parents do have the right to request to be on campus. They can ask in written permission to be on campus. Then it's up to our administrators to grant that or not. And where they know the parents and you know that they can make that decision. There was something that it came from that. However, we don't have our signs posted like Idaho code tells us to do, and so Jason's already sent me the mock-up. I just need to make sure it meets the requirements, and then we have to have that posted at every property entrance. You know, that sign. So we have a little work to do there. As far as maintenance updates go, windows have been getting replaced at East. They're still waiting on the rest of them, but I think some either came broken or they broke when they were getting installed, so they have to now replace those too.
Replacing some at West.
Yes, they just started at West on Friday with window replacement, so that's a good thing. The big chiller unit at Rupert went out last week. This is when it gets hot. This is what cools the classroom temperatures down.
Oh, great.
We don't have that now. They got somebody come in, a technician to come in on Friday that did a pressure testing. They don't think that the whole unit has to be replaced, and that's a good thing because that's like $400,000 or $500,000 to replace. They think just one of the valves might be bad, so that part has been ordered. As of this morning, though, Jason didn't know when it would be here.
It's going to get cooler, just so you know, Angela.
Yes.
The weather report says it's
not so much tomorrow, but by the end of the week.
Windows open at night. Put fans in there.
So they opened it up, so all night long it blows all that cold air. It sucks it from the outside and blows it into our building. So when we go in the building in the morning,
it's cold.
And they keep it open until the heat.
About 70.
Until it hits about 70, and then they cut it off, and then just hope that we can keep some cool in there, even though we've got 650 kids.
Yeah.
Hot little bodies.
It wasn't too bad today, so.
Oh, good.
Okay, good.
That's good news.
So anyway, when that part comes in, we'll get it replaced. I don't know how many hot days we'll have left, but there still could be a few. So that was one of the repairs that needs to get done. The state inspector will be in the district this week,
And tell me what the state inspector is inspecting.
Oh, they inspect our facilities, and they are looking for, they check
That box has got to come down.
the exit lighting. They check to make sure we don't have cords piggyback. They make sure, playgrounds right. We have enough impact on the playgrounds. Yeah, they side pretty much everything. And I'm sure we will have pages of write-ups. That's fairly typical, though.
Is that the same inspector that does the buses, or is that someone different?
No, that's somebody different.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, today he told me that an inspector is coming from the insurance company or ICRIMP to actually look at our facilities. So really, it's on behalf of the state. They're just checking the condition of facilities statewide to see if any buildings qualify for more money, more funding. So that's going to be this week as well.
Show them the big chiller.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have for you today.
Okay. The only thing about the maintenance thing that I disagreed with was they did not have those units done by the time school started.
No, they did not.
They were not out of there. That had not been updated. But, any other questions for Mr. Larson? Anybody? Okay. We have no policy discussion. And financial. That's you, I believe, Mr. Kent.
So, just give you a heads up of where we're at with everything. We were able to get the Vision software, our accounting software, onto the new server this weekend, as well as get it updated. The last time it was updated was about 2-3 weeks ago. So we've been needing an update. It's been very nice to have. With that update, most of our problems, as far as access and the printing ability to print, are handled. I've only had one response from district financial staff that they were still having an issue, so we'll figure in on that. As far as other things, banking is one of the big things that I'll just give you an update on where we're at. Mount Harrison is the new secretary that we're putting on that big account, just so you're aware of that. We did close the safety deposit box at First Federal. We finally got access to that.
I'm just curious, was there anything in it?
There's a ton of titles.
Oh.
Our bus, cars, and titles were in there. So we have that. We will be opening a safety deposit box at D11s to keep everything uniform.
Wasn't that the reason we were having a hard time selling buses? Because we couldn't find the titles. So that's good.
So we got it. We're going to get it organized and put it away. Along those same lines, we did finally also get access to the CD at US Bank. So we were also able to hold those funds. Those will all go back into Minidoka activity funds. So it's nice to get access to that. Those have been in there for over 14 years.
Good heavens.
Just renewing and renewing and renewing. So it took a little bit of tracking down to get a old signer to come in and get it signed off.
An old signer.
Well, just someone that was still in the area, just one of them. So, but it was nice. We got that lined out. Also, at D11, we will be opening a debt service account. This will be for all our bond and levy, our bond payments. So when we pull them from the state fund, we can put them into separate accounts, so they're not mixing into general fund monies. So we can keep them completely separate.
So no commingling.
Exactly. Keep it clean and fresh, so we can track what is there. We'll put it in there, get the payments paid, and then put money back to keep earning interest on that. So that is one thing that is opening, and I will be grabbing signatures from you guys after the meeting, if that's okay.
Okay.
The big thing that we wanted to talk about, and that needs actual decision making, is credit cards, which you guys all have that. I gave you a listing of what our current credit cards are, with all the names of majority that don't work here anymore, and those limits, and then a listing of proposed current limits with the new names. You'll notice that our card number stayed the same at 58. We dropped some, added some, ended up netting out there the same. As far as limits, we went from 140,000 up to 250,000. With this, the reason for that is one, increasing limits on cards that need them. Travel, you've seen the travel requests coming through, the amount of money that's going on some of those. We are having issues just even having cards to reserve flights, hotels, or any of that having the limit space. So we're struggling jumping between cards right now on that. Also to help with some of the purchasing issues that we've had over the last couple of years of the cards being full on day 5 of the month. So, in addition to increasing the limit, we've also changed a few of our processes addressing the cards. We're going to start doing POs by the not the invoicing via PO. So it's like they're going to check it out, they're going to get a PO for this. We're not doing a long open PO.
Oh.
I'm going to get a card, make sure you have a PO for that card. I'm hitting Walmart, Costco, whatever it is for this specific event. Cool. We'll do it, we'll close it, process it, and make that payment before the end of the month instead of waiting to the end of the month to have it clear off.
Perfect.
So between these few changes, that is our plan to try to rectify credit card issues. But at the same time, we're still encouraging and pushing using POs as much as possible. I just don't want to cripple ourselves by not having other tools accessible.
Okay. And does anyone have any questions for Daryl? I really like the sounds of some of what you're proposing. And I was appalled at the number of names of no longer employees that didn't have that were on that list. I went through and well, he's not. That's not what. So I'm very glad.
I actually have a question. So the ones that were under question mark still, are those ones that will they eventually have a name, or they'll just?
They will. I just need to check with the schools and their bookkeepers to make sure I get the current. Those ones are usually the sports team coaches, the head coaches on those. To make sure I get current names. I'm not as in touch with all that as others.
So when a coach changes, are you going to have to change the name on that card every time, or is that just going to be?
Is willing to work with us, and it'll be an easy process.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll help.
They will not allow us to do just an account name. They don't want to just own that because they want to be able to have that liability traced to a certain department or area of our entity, which is totally understandable. If we do have anything travel-wise or that we need to allow others to use that card, we will just have a written authorized user statement, basically saying, hey, Julie's going to take my card. She's fully authorized to use it. Call if you have any issues.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, with that, we'll move on into the action items. The first one is continuous improvement plan. And we do need to approve this tonight. It has to be filed with the state by October 1st. So that is, we did have some conversation last week when we met the administrators and all. And does anybody have any comments or questions on what they saw on the finished product that's before us tonight? Nope. Okay. Excuse me?
No,
Yeah, continuous improvement plan. So if there are no questions, then I would entertain a motion for approval of the continuous improvement plan that is before us tonight.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the continuous improvement plan for 2023-2024.
Okay, motion by Mr. Perez. Second by Mr. Sukian. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we are requested, of course, to have to close out one set of credit cards and open up another set of credit cards. So with that, do you have any other?
I need authorization to sign the agreement.
And that too, yes. So that's all part of the process, I'm guessing. So with the changes, then we need to have a motion to approve the credit card changes and approve and signature. Signature
The
of agreement, authorization agreement.
Yeah.
Of agreement. Yes. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Claridge, second by Mrs. Anderson. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we had some student achievement goals that were in our board packet. Does anyone have any questions regarding what they saw there? We just have East and West are going to give theirs next month, so we'll have that again. But other than that, for the rest of them that are on there, does anyone have any comments or questions? Then I would entertain a motion for approval of the student achievement goals that are in our board book tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Anderson.
Second.
I'm sorry, was that you, Russ?
That was
I apologize.
Yeah, good.
Second by Mr. Sukan.
Did you say Mary? You were
Mary. Yeah. And then Russ. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then the AAP program, reducing the risk approval. For Ms. Maester. I can think of your first name. Anyway, Ms. Maester was easier.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the AAP program. That was given to us this night.
Okay. All right, motion by Mrs. Anderson for
Second.
approval. Second by Mr. Claridge. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And there's a slight change to the organizational chart. Mr. Larson explained what that was as far as having two people go back under or go under the HR,
Yes.
and that was the only change in this one,
Yep.
right? So, anyone have any comments or questions again? Then I would entertain a motion for approval of the revised organizational chart.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sukan,
Second.
second by Mr. Perez. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And we need to appoint an official board treasurer. And it can be a board member, it can be our business manager. Just throwing that out there. But I would entertain a motion for appointing a board treasurer. You guys can do it.
Madam Chair, I move that we appoint Mr. Kent as our board treasurer.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Sukan to appoint Mr. Kent. Is there a second?
I second that.
Second by Mr. Perez. Are you shrinking under your chair?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure he was okay with that, guys. Okay.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, he
I'm
already-
sure I'm not okay with doing it. So.
He kind of nodded his head a little bit. So, okay, motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a treasurer. Thank you, Mr. Kent. And the open enrollment is being held, right? One more time.
I made the changes that Sherry wanted to deal with special ed and everything else, and those were the only comments that were made about it.
Okay.
And it was the preschool
Well,
added.
it was a bunch of special ed classes that I
Oh, on
copied-
that one. Yes.
copied from the old and put in per Sherry's request.
Okay. So do you want to hold it one more month because of that, or do you want?
And you added the preschool too. Added the preschool too, and I also put in the statement that a copy of the IEP 504 for eligibility. Yes. I added all of those. So with that, that's two.
It would be good. Go ahead.
I'm just kind of being dinged on here. Sherry, Mrs. Bingham, is there a chance you could take 2 seconds and explain this to us?
Just the changes, the open enrollment regarding the sped.
And what you're requesting.
Well, what I'm requesting is, so we have, so it takes a lot of resources to educate special education children. And we do not get very many funds. I mean, I'll give you a whole spiel on that, but the federal government gives us about 14% of what it costs when they enacted IDEA. They said they would fund it at 40%. So if we're taking open enrollment from a student in another district, it's going to be very expensive. We kind of out for ourselves. We need to take care of our own first. So if we've got, a case manager with already, say like a self-contained classroom, we've already got 7 kids in that room, and someone from a different district would like to bring their child to our district, and it does happen, we get those requests. That's going to really impact the students in that classroom if we're going to, raise those limits.
Can we deny that?
Yes, we can.
Due to we're full.
Yes, and before we didn't have those numbers in, but we're adding the numbers so we can in every district, in well, not every, but I would say most all districts, and I don't have that. I know I work with other special ed directors in some districts. There was a district who had an OCR complaint because they denied, but as long as we have those numbers and we're, they're decent numbers, we're not, really putting low numbers, then we should be okay, and we got Mr. Cotton here to take care of us, so we're all good. Anyway,
Perfect. No pressure.
That's right. But they're really important. I mean, we have some really good programs over here, and it happens between districts. You've got a good program, and you got parents who want that good program. We've had, when Heather knows, we've had parents move to our district to get the behavior services that we provide in our district that maybe they're not available elsewhere. We had a girl come from Shoshan, which we actually let her come. There was a teacher at Gary, and she came to our preschool for a couple of years, but they knew after a couple of years that they would be going back to Dietrich. I mean, we look, and if there are numbers that we can let students in, but it's important. We're not mean people. We just need to make sure that we can provide for our students in our own district. And like I say, it's pretty much across the board, and I've looked at the numbers in other districts, and they're okay. Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you for that explanation. That helps a lot. So, so that one we could go ahead tonight with those additions, probably.
And that would include the policy, procedure, and the form.
Okay, so everything that's there, then you're good with that. Well, I was just going to ask the pay rates, the transportation pay rates. Just a real quick explanation. It's per schedule now instead of a specific number.
Yeah, so it had like 1250 in there, but the new schedule actually it should be 15. But instead of changing it every time we redo the schedule, it just says per classified salary schedule.
It just makes it simpler for sure.
I have one question actually for Sherry again regarding, so we still have the ability to accept, like for example, if we had one of our own district employees that potentially lived outside of district, like even though the numbers don't match, we can still grant or deny them to bring their child to our district if they're working here, correct?
Correct, and we have granted parents that work in our district the ability to bring their kids, and we have honestly also denied. And the bottom line, the superintendent makes that decision. What we do is we've got a whole process. We meet as a team. We've got 5 people from the school that would be impacted. We've got that administrator meets, I meet, the special ed teacher meets, and a general ed teacher. We go through a whole process, and it's like a 5-page document, giving the reasons why we would accept or why we would deny, and then that all goes to the superintendent who makes the final decision. But yes, we do at times take the employees' children, and sometimes we do not. Okay. Because sometimes they're really very significant needs and impactful, and we just aren't able to provide the services. It just depends. That's a great question.
Good question. All right. Are there any other questions regarding these 2 policies? Then I would entertain a motion that we accept policy 302.00 open enrollment and policy 816.50 transportation pay rates. Is anyone willing to make that motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Sukan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Claridge. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Madam Chair, I make that motion.
Motion for Mrs. Anderson,
Second.
Second from Mr. Sukan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Wait, is that